Hello, welcome to my channel. This is Bess. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe and follow me. If you are a returning viewer, thanks for sticking around. Today we are going to talk about test taking strategies. Test taking strategies are very important if you are a student and you want to be successful in your career, in your profession, or whatever it is you are taking the courses for. So let's dive right in. Please, I want you to stick around, watch this video till the end, because I am going to be sharing some important tips at the end, so you don't want to miss out on that, right? Let's begin with preparedness. Preparedness, you heard that right. You got to be prepared. You cannot go take a test without studying the material. So what do I mean by preparedness? You want to master the content for which you are going to be tested upon, right? You want to know the material inside out and be ready for this test. So it entails studying all the chapters that have been assigned to you, reviewing content that is related to those chapters, whether given in class or online or in the library, right? Listening to professors' lectures, or that if they are recorded and available to you, and practicing test questions that are related to the subject matter or the content that you've studied and that you are going to be tested for, right? People think that you can just magically walk into an exam room and ace the exam without studying. That's not going to happen. You got to know the stuff first. You have to know the stuff and you have control over this. So take your time, study, and be prepared. Being prepared can solve a lot of issues for you, which I'm going to talk about in the next segment. All right, number one, preparedness. Number two, ask questions. Asking questions before you test is very important because it not only clarifies the issues that you may have question about, but it also validates what you've studied and understood, right? So plan to ask questions of your instructor when you are chanced to, or of your peers when you can, or anybody in the field or line of work that you are currently enrolled in school for. Ask questions to clarify those things. When you do ask questions, it boosts your confidence and decreases anxiety, which is very important. Okay? Number three, avoid procrastination. Yes, procrastination can kill your dreams of success on a test. I'll read tomorrow, I'll read next week. Now, once you have your calendar for a course and a test date has been decided already, put it on your own calendar and set aside time that can allow you to study the content and master the material. Avoid procrastination. Procrastination is a credit card, or it's like a credit card that can come back to bite you when it's time to pay the bills, and that will mean failing a course. So if you don't procrastinate, you increases your chances of success already. Avoid doing that. Okay, I also encourage study groups. But under this, do not go into study groups when you haven't already studied yourself. You want to go into study groups when you've mastered the content to be tested upon, so that you can engage in a meaningful conversation with your peers on the subject at hand. So while study groups are advised, use them wisely. Do not go in to embarrass yourself when you haven't read and your peers have already studied and they're going to be spitting these things out and you're watching and like, hey, where did you all come from Mars? No. Study before you go into study groups with your peers. While in study groups, listen to all. Let everybody say what they thought of the content that you've studied. You guys can work on questions. You can quiz one another. And at the end of the day, you're going to go home more fulfilled and feeling accomplished if you do that. If before walking into the study group, you've studied yourself, right? Great. Another thing, if you're taking an exam, be in school or in a testing center, even if it is at home, arrive early. Arriving early prevents you from rushing, which can increase adrenaline, and then you're going to be in this rush, anxiety kicks in. You don't want that. You want to avoid that. You want to arrive and show up early for your exams. Arriving early also allows you to relax, take a survey of the environment, maybe ask questions if you are allowed to before the exam begins. When you are late, you are already running low on fuel because you are going to exhaust a lot of energy trying to get there. So show up on time, if possible early enough, to relax, ask questions, and be ready to ace that exam. Okay, let's talk again about another important clue: memory dump. Yes, memory dump is the process by which, when you get into an exam, right, if you are afraid that there are certain things that you may forget in the course of the exam, you can write this down on the piece of paper that is given to you. If this is in a testing center, you can just jot down those things that are key to your success. It could be simple things like lab values, normal vital signs, first line treatments, right? Just write those things down. Certain medications that cannot be, just jot them down on a piece of paper, so that if you do need them during the course of the test, they are there for you to look at them and review, right? Because if you're already anxious, it can affect you. So put those things down that can assist you as you take the test, right? Okay. Now, next point. If you have test anxiety, you got to take care of it. Test anxiety is real. It can cripple you during an exam, even if you know all the material. Test anxiety, hear it from me, because I do have it. It's real. But managing it, understanding how to deal with it before the exam, goes a long way. So if you have it, please make sure that you address it before you get into the exam room. Some people do meditation, yoga. Those didn't work for me. So you have to know yourself. This is where you have to, a self-assessment comes in. You know yourself more than anybody does. So you want to ensure that before a test, you've already taken care of your anxiety. Test anxiety can be managed medically. Do not be ashamed to talk to your healthcare provider about it if it is something that you are suffering from. It can make a difference as to how you approach exams and your confidence in those exams. So please, if test anxiety is something that you suffer from, seek help. I repeat, if test anxiety is something that you are suffering from, seek help. Okay? Please do. All right. Another most important point that I want to talk about, let me look, I put it on my phone, is when you are taking the test, your first impression about a question should tell you something, especially when you are prepared for this exam. Follow your instincts and your impressions. Do not change your answers unless you are convinced that that answer is not right. 9 times out of 10, the first choice that comes to your mind after reading the question is the correct one, especially when you've studied and you are well versed with the content, subject matter in this area. Okay, so follow your mind, your heart, your first impression. Avoid changing your responses in the middle of the test. Another point, do not submit your exam without answering all the questions. When you do that, you give yourself a 0 chance of getting an answer right or correct. But when you answer, even if you answer wrongly, you've increased your chances or odds of passing because you're giving yourself a 25% chance. So which one are you going to take? 10%, 0%, or 25%? I'll go 25% every day if it means success. So be very careful. Avoid being stuck on questions you do not know what the answers are. This can be tempting during an exam and it can throw you off your game. You want to go into an exam room with a plan of action. If you get to questions you do not know what the answer is or you are not entirely sure, I recommend use the paper and pencils that are given to you to write the number down, move on. When you can't choose the best option you have or you think is the answer, mark the question. If you have the capability to mark the answers on the computer, mark it as one of those that you can return to later on to review. Move on. When you move on, I mean move on. Do not be thinking about that question, because if you do that, you're setting yourself for a trap and you can have what we call a brain fog in the middle of a test. You don't want to do this. You want to avoid this at all costs. Answer all questions to the best of your ability. Do not submit an exam without answering all questions. Another point, being aware of the time that is allotted for any exam or any given exam is very crucial. You want to know how much time you have so that you can divide that time accordingly to ensure that you answer all the questions that are in front of you. You know, when you're sitting there, even if it's on a computer or if it's a paper pencil test, give it your all, so that when you walk out of that room, you have no regrets. And answering all the questions in a timely manner is important so that you can go back and review all your questions. When you are running low on time, go back and review those questions that you were not entirely sure that you've marked to give yourself a chance. Okay? And finally, if you are a student and you are taking a test, focus on yourself. Do not worry about anybody that's sitting beside you, in front of you, or behind you is doing. You are in there for your success. Give it your all. Read every question. Pick out the cues or the clues that you have in the question that can assist you in answering questions, right? Give it your all. In nursing, we have what we call ACPI: assessment, diagnosis, planning, implementation, and evaluation. Consider using ACPI as you answer questions. If the question is asking for an implementation, make sure the answer choice you chose is something that you can implement. If it is asking for an assessment, make sure you choose the answer that aligns with that. So you have that as a secret weapon. I always write ACPI on a piece of paper when I'm taking a test. And as I read questions, I can always consult that. So do that if it will help you. Most people are visual learners, others are not. I like to see it, so when I write it down, it kind of adds in my brain and helps me sort out things easily. Please, one last time, test anxiety is real. It is a problem that affects many, but many go untreated. If you do suffer from it, consult your primary care provider for medical help. You will get help and you will see that it will make a lot of difference as to how you approach exams in the future. Okay? If you haven't already joined the community, please hit the button down below and subscribe to my channel and follow me. If you have any questions after watching this video, leave me a comment down below. Until next